Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm doing a different kind of games leaving the collection video. More specifically, I have a bunch of games over here that I'm going to be going through, and these are games that, in addition to my usual games leaving the collection video I do every single month, these are additional games that I do not want to get rid of, and I'm using an excuse to get rid of them. All of these are excellent experiences. Some of these I reviewed, some of them I haven't. All of them I don't want to see go, and so to that end, what I'm doing instead is I'm going to be going ahead and giving these to the Level Up Retreat Library. For those of you who don't know, I'm doing a convention, we're doing a convention, Level Up Events as well as myself are hosting a convention in July in Connecticut, July 14th through 16th. I'll have links down below, you can check that out. We'd love for you to come, but in addition to a whole bunch of things, a hot game rooms, play to win, we're going to be giving away like, 70 games or something like that. There's going to be a lot of games being given away, as well as all the various things going on. Oh, and also, if you get the swag bag, there's 20 Strong in it. You can have access to a copy of 20 Strong from Chip through your games if you go ahead and sign up for that. But past that, we have all the games on the table that I'm kind of donating to the Level Up Retreat Library because of the fact that I don't want to get rid of these games, but I also am not prioritizing playing them quite as much. We're going to go through each one of these at a time, but this way, if I change my mind, I can take them back, and with some of these, I may want to change my mind. Honestly, you know what? This one shouldn't be here. Nope. This one shouldn't be here. This one over here, this might be in the library, don't get me wrong, but this should be in my regular games leaving the collection video. I don't think as strongly of that one. I like it. I like Tigers and Euphrates more. Tigers and Euphrates would go into this video, although it's already gone, unfortunately. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into it. These are going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think 13 games, I may have double counted because there's more boxes, 13 games that are going to be put into the Level Up Retreat Library that I think very well of to various degrees, starting off with one that even hurts to say it, which is Resurgence. This is kind of part of the inspiration for this video. This game, as well as a whole bunch of other games that I just don't want to get rid of because I like them so much, but with the caveats that I just think I like other games more. I would say nearly everything on this table, with possibly one, almost everything on this table is rated a 4 or above from me, 4 out of 5 above. There's 2 here that are a 3.5, but almost everything is a 4 or above because they are great games, they are great experiences, and Resurgence to me was a 4 out of 5 from Stan Kodonsky that I really enjoy, with the caveat that I've played this game, 8 or 9 times, and at a certain point, it started to feel a bit samey for me, which is why I kind of both want to keep it, but also don't want. I want to keep it, but I don't know if I'm going to prioritize it over the new and shiny or other Euro games that I like more than Resurgence. Resurgence is a post-apocalyptic wasteland with a degree of worker placement and managing your resources as you go through it, and it is delightfully well done as far as the tight interweaving aspects of the various elements and how much of a puzzle there is to go through. Again, with the caveat that to me, 8 or 9 plays in, I've started to move into the, how you optimize around the game as opposed to feeling like I'm exploring new things. And I like exploring new things in games, which is why Resurgence is both a 4 out of 5 for me, and a game that I kind of inspired this whole video, where I was like, I don't want to get rid of these games because what if I want them back? But I can get rid of these games and also get them back if I put them up into the Level Up Retreat Library. And so to that end, Resurgence is the first on the list. Great game, highly recommended. In fact, his newest game, Nova Roma, which is either currently on Kickstarter or just ended. I like Nova Roma similarly to Resurgence. They give me very similar feelings as far as the optimization. I think, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you play a Stefan Feld game, there's you can have 15 Stefan Feld games that feel the same, and I have 4 of them in my collection. But I would say that Nova Roma versus Resurgence, to me, Nova Roma might end up in the same category over time, but for me right now, I think Nova Roma gives you a more interesting action selection mechanism that feels like it'll hold stronger or longer over time compared to Resurgence. But very similar overall feelings as far as the Euro-y goodness of those 2 games. From there, we have one that I have very strong feelings about this one. That's Winter Kingdom. Winter Kingdom from Queen Games is a game that I got rid of Kingdom Builder for. And then I went ahead and backed the all-in box for Kingdom Builder, the Luxification that they threw on Kickstarter because I couldn't help myself. I love Kingdom Builder. From Donald XX, the designer of Dominion, I've enjoyed Kingdom Builder since I first played it, and I like Winter Kingdom more, sort of. What I mean by that is I think Winter Kingdom gives you a better experience than Kingdom Builder with a few caveats. It gives you the same general gameplay, but it gives it to you with a different map system and ability cards instead of tiles on the abilities on the tiles, which in a way gives you more replayability, in a way gives you less. The things I really like about Kingdom Builder, about Winter Kingdom, is the fact that there are these kind of 2 different events in play that are, I can't remember what they're called, but they're 2 different cards in play that give you different kind of rules, constrictions, or ways to earn money or points in the game, and they work really well. I think Winter Kingdom is excellent. I think it gives you more strategy than Kingdom Builder, but less accessibility as far as how easy it is to teach people and get them up and running on it. And to me, I find that I play Winter Kingdom less. Even though I got rid of Kingdom Builder, I find that I play Winter Kingdom less despite thinking it's better. Like, I genuinely think it's better. This is one of those games that falls into the category of, I absolutely don't want to get rid of it, because if they further expand the line, if they give us more Winter Kingdom over time, or they give us deluxifications or this or that, I don't know. The deluxification wouldn't be enough. I need more content for the game. I would find myself returning to Winter Kingdom. For right now, I have a big box Kingdom Builder on the way, and despite having chosen Winter Kingdom over Kingdom Builder, I'm going back on that. And again, I think Winter Kingdom is genuinely better. But I think Kingdom Builder hits the table more often and more easily, and that ultimately counts for a lot over it. From there, we'll go to the first of 2 games on this list that I have not played. Just 2? Yeah, I think just 2 of these games I have not played, but still didn't want to get rid of them. Although one's, we'll talk about one. But the first one over here is the giant Dungeon Fighter box from Horrible Guild. This box is chock full of just, I mean, the deluxification of this box. We got metal coins, we got all these like 5 different games inside this one singular box, and this is a dexterity-based dungeon crawler almost. You're flipping things onto the table, onto this giant bullseye with different characters, different abilities, different stuff. It's a dexterity game wrapped into a Euro/dexterity game madness, and it looks like an absolute ton of fun. I mean, seriously, if you pull out these components alone, like, you'll see what I'm talking about. Even if we just, let me see if I can pull this out in a way that shows you things without, you know, messing up stuff. Like, just, almost messing up stuff already. Almost messing up stuff. But if I just show you even this board over here, first of all, what is this? Like, I don't even know what this is, but these are the various toys we have in this box, and toys is absolutely the right word to be using here, because these are a bunch of dexterity-based stuff that you're throwing into the box and utilizing in different ways. I don't know what this is. Do you slide things along this? Why do we have these giant bones? Are they chopsticks? I don't really know, because I haven't read through this over here, but I just know that this is going to give you a giant dexterity, and like the amount of cards here, we got decks after decks of in-string cards, 1, 2, like, I mean, honestly, just, this is like just tons of content in here, and it looks very cool, and we have all the stuff, and I just want to play it, but I don't know if it's going to hit the table in my house quite as much. You see, the genre of game that this is, it just isn't likely to see as much play. It's when I have like 3 or 4 players at the table, we're going to be picking something else up to play, something more, a little bit more. Either I find my group leans more towards straight up party, monikers, code names, Decrypto, Just One, etc. Or alternatively, my group is leaning more towards heavy strategy. This falls into an interesting middle of the road ground that's kind of shared by, honestly, Tiny Turbo Cars from the same creator. Kind of has the same feel to it. And Tiny Turbo Cars I have in my collection still, but this one I just don't see myself playing it, even though I want to play it. And so this is one that I think is a perfect fit to become a dungeon fighter. I think this one's a perfect fit for a convention. The very nature and genre of what it is, like, I'm tempted to put it into like a video of 10 best games to play at a convention, except I'd be hesitant to do that on a game I haven't played yet, even though I think this would fall into that category 100% in terms of the dexterity puzzle that it is. And so I don't want to get rid of it. I want to play it. And to that end, I can if it's in a convention library. Next up, we're going to move to one that isn't Shrink, but I have played. And that's going to be Shogun No Katana. Shogun No Katana, completely in Shrink, big box deluxification. I gotta figure out how to put this in here. I'm gonna, what is this exactly? These are mats or play mats? This doesn't look like play mats. It looks like mats and rule books. I don't know. Extra rule, promo, historical handbook. I don't know. I'm gonna fit this into the box at some point in some way. But this is Shogun No Katana from Postscriptum Games, and it's one that I backed it a long time ago. I covered it a long time ago. I gave it a 4 to 5, and I hold by that rating. The difference is, since that time, in that time, 2 years have gone by, 2.5 years have gone by. This is one of the first prototypes I've ever covered on the channel, and I just find myself less excited about it 2.5 years later. This is one of those things where I don't know, I plan on doing a video at some point of games where I just grew less excited about over time, and there's not a lot. Because there's 2 kinds of games where you lose your hype over it. There's games that you play them and it changed, in which case it's not you losing your hype, it's you played it and it's not the same thing as you thought. And then there's games, or even something like Resurgence, where Resurgence is a great game, I just played it enough that I feel I saw what I want to see out of the game and I'm ready to move on. But then there's games where you just lose your hype. And sometimes it's a matter of time, sometimes it's a matter of, I don't know, I think time is often the biggest factor, but there are a handful of games over time. I'll be doing a full video on it of, like, 10 crowdfunding campaigns that I just lost interest in. And in the case of Shogun No Katana, I am interested in it. I am. But the problem is I'm not interested in enough, I think, to pull this out. Like, I watched Think of Themer's review, and it both, like, re-hyped me for the thoughts and opinions I had when I originally played it, and also, at the same time, made me think that, you know what, I'd rather sit there and pull off, I don't know, a Cleopatra on the side Society of Architects and give that a roll. I haven't played it. I want to play that one. Or what about, Maracaibo? Still haven't played that. I'd rather dive into that. Or if I'm playing something I already know I like, I'm going to pull off Coimbra or Food Chain Magnet or a dozen other Stefan Feld games that I enjoy and love. And so Shogun No Katana, I both recommend it. I both like it. At some point, I will de-shrink this before throwing it into the library, but it's one that I'm putting into the Level Up Retreat library, where at some point, maybe, I will play it, or alternatively, it will, or someone will play it. The good news is someone will play it. From there, we move to, this I can move over here. I can move this off to the side. Let's move into small boxes over here. We got Red Cathedral and the expansion from Devere Games, and this does not fit into one box. It has to be bundled together, but Red Cathedral is excellent. I think this is a great Euro game that plays in around 45 minutes, that gives you a high degree of variability because of the cards in play, especially once you add the expansion in. You get an absolute ton of cards, and this gives you a fun little puzzle of just optimization as you try to figure out how to build the various sections of the cathedral. I like the base game, I like the expansion. I would never play it without the expansion, I think. I think even with new players, I would only teach the expansion, and it's just fun, quick, and plays in around 45 minutes, and I like it. And I find that, for me, there are other games I pick over it in terms of that time frame, most notably Furnace. Again, this is a 4 to 5, Winter Kingdom is a 4 to 5, Resurgence is a 4 to 5, Red Cathedral and the expansion is a 4 to 5. I like the game system. I like it a lot, and it gives me variability and Yuri goodness all wrapped in a small little puzzle. In fact, again, if I was doing 10 great games to play at a convention, this would be one of them, because I don't think it's that hard to learn. I think it plays pretty quickly. So if you're looking for great games to play at a convention that aren't just party games, Red Cathedral is absolutely one of them, because it's accessible, teaches quickly, plays quickly, you can knock out a few games of it, and you can have a good time. I believe Devere Games is coming out with another follow-up, like White Cathedral or something. I think they're coming out with another follow-up to this game system. I'm happily going to dive into that and see how I feel about that as well. I find games interesting, because games, to me, games are almost like movies or TV shows. I want to watch certain movies, I want to watch certain TV shows, and then, I honestly, campaign games are like TV shows, and movies are like regular games, in the sense that I have a certain level of appeal or interest, but then I have to follow through and decide, am I rewatching that movie again and again, or am I just experiencing that movie? And in the case of TV shows, it has to be even better than the movie, because a movie I could just watch and move on from, but a TV show you have to be really good if I'm going to give it that much time. And that's how I feel about campaign games. I feel you have to be even better, because you're asking me to commit more time, effort, and energy to it. I should do a whole video on this series. Anyways, moving on from there, we have one which I've actually reviewed on the channel, but it hasn't gone up yet. That's Planted. Planted, I filmed a review like, I don't know, 5-6 months ago, so this is one of those tricky parts where I talk about this a lot, but the nature of me playing a lot of games means games leave. That is part and parcel of what happens when you play hundreds and hundreds of new games a year. You can like a game, and it can leave at the same time, or in the case of having this whole Level Up Retreat thing, it may just change to games sometimes leaving and sometimes going into the Level Up library, so that could be a different conversation there. But an interesting part of it is that I often talk about the nature of filming a video of like, hey, I like this game, and by the way, it's leaving. That problem is made worse when you film a video like 4 or 5 months ago and it still hasn't gone up yet, so by the time you watch the video on the Planted review, you'll already know that I got rid of it, although I wasn't sure exactly how long it would last. Now, this is one of the 2 games on the table that is not rated a 4. This is a 3.5, but it does get extra bonus points for just how accessible it is. This is from Phil Walker Harding, and it's going to be a game of trying to build plants, but it's so easy to dive into, it's so quick. This is the kind of game that could be like a 7 Wonders replacement, because I prefer the theme of 7 Wonders, I prefer the gameplay of 7 Wonders, but I do think it is a comparable game to 7 Wonders if you're looking for recommendations to give to people who are looking for a gateway experience that gives you enough strategy to be compelling, plays in like 20 minutes, plays at a variety of player counts, 2 to 5 players, and just gives you an overall good time. I think Planted is a lot of fun. I just have other games, mainly 7 Wonders, that will fill the same slot for me, and that I personally prefer, but Planted is excellent. Then we have one that's been in my collection for like, I think 6 years, and that's Battle for Rokugan over here. See, some games stick around for 6 months and they eventually leave. Other games have been there for 6 years, I think possibly longer in the case of Battle for Rokugan. I don't remember exactly when I got it. I know I was playing this for several years before COVID hit, which means at a minimum we have like 5 years. I'm guessing around 6, but I don't know exactly. But Battle for Rokugan is an excellent experience. Also a great convention game. Plays 4 players. Yeah, I mean, plays 4 to 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 2 to 5 officially, but I'm saying it's not good at 2. And I think 3 at 3 I'd rather play City of Spies any day of the week, which is partially part of the reason I'm getting rid of this. Is at 3 players I will always pick City of Spies or Battle for Rokugan. At 4 players I'm 50-50. I think Battle for Rokugan brings enough to the table, but at 4 players nowadays I'm often playing more area control games and less something like this, and so this is just an issue of it not hitting the table quite as much. I haven't played it probably since COVID. I want to say I may have played it once since COVID, maybe, and even that I'm not certain of. Before COVID, I saw the table regularly, and this is one that just, I think it's a lack of play compared to other games what's being picked, but this is an excellent experience. It's a 4 to 5. Battle for Rokugan is a delightful mind game of placing pieces down and seeing how they resolve. So you're basically placing orders, and you're reacting to people's placements without knowing what it is they are placing or doing in the game state. So a lot of fun and a lot of trying to think through how to outwit, outmaneuver, and outplay your opponents in this game. Very similar to Fractured Sky as well. If you played Fractured Sky recently from Ivy Games, I think Fractured Sky, Battle for Rokugan, and City of Spies, as well as one other game. Someone else told me another game. Oh my gosh, it was a recent one. There was another game someone told me about that they said, is it similar to that? And I was like, actually, it's also similar to that, but I don't remember what it was. But all of these fall into the same general umbrella of kind of like a hidden worker placement kind of situation where you're trying to outmaneuver and outplay your opponent in a game system that works very well. Then one we have over here, and this is where we start getting to bigger boxes, and then realizing the order that I pulled these off just means the bigger boxes are at the bottom and harder to get access to. So let's pull a bigger box. Let's move these over here for a second and pull a bigger, let's pull a bigger box off the shelf over here. There we go. That's a miniature that just dropped at the table. That was not good. I'll get it later. I'm in the middle of playing Tenaris Adventures, and I just have a bunch of miniatures off to the side so I can film this video. Anyways, this is Enchanters, the deluxe box from Gindie and Mythic Games. This is an excellent experience that I really enjoy, although this is also probably the other one. This is the other 3.5? Yeah, this is the other 3.5 on the table. I said there's two 3.5s. This is the other one. Enchanters is such a compelling and enjoyable experience to go through, and it's a great, easy to pull. Don't let the box size like intimidate you. There's a lot of content in this game, and it's a lot of fun to play through, because the general core concept of Enchanters is you pick a realm you're going through, you pick some monsters or whatever, and then you pick your characters, your classes that you're playing as, your race, your faction, and then you go through the game. Sorry, not playing as, you're playing against those. You shuffle together a bunch of like elves and mermaids and goblins, and you shuffle them together. You create the decks that you're fighting against, and combine with the campaign and all the things you combine. You're going to go through an experience which is either competitive or co-op as you build out your enchantment. You're grabbing a weapon and an enchantment, so you might have the Sword of Holding, you might have the Fist of Enchantment, you might have the Battle Axe of Defeatness, I don't know, different names and terms that you'll have, and you combine them as you slowly level up your enchantments, and as you do so, you contain remnants of the original enchantment, so your enchantment and weapon keeps growing stronger and stronger as you go through the game, so you can power up and go through it. It's got great art, gameplay that plays in like 30 to 45 minutes, while giving you an overall fun time. I do find it can drag at higher player counts. I almost like this most at a 2-player or 3-player experience. And even 3 might slow it down a bit too much for me. I think 2 players is where it's going to thrive for me. But Enchanters is, again, beautiful art, great production quality, and a game that I've enjoyed. I got rid of it and got it back because of the big box. I was like, ooh, I want the big box, and like, you know, and then I still want to own it. Hence the contribution to the library. From there, we're going to move on to one more on this side over here, and this is a hard one for me as well. This is Dead Reckoning. I want to say Dead Reckoning and Resurgence were probably, no, there's 3. There's 3 here that were the main contributors to the motivation here. Dead Reckoning, Resurgence, and one we haven't gotten to yet. Dead Reckoning from John D. Clare and AEG is an excellent game. It's also an excellent game that I've played, I don't know, 7, 8 times, and the sagas. Okay, so what is Dead Reckoning? Dead Reckoning is a card crafting system as you wander around the board, as you engage in a variety of activities, from hunting down merchants, from fighting other pirates, from just trying to build up your tableau and your buildings as you slowly just deal with the card crafting, generating barrels of rum, and trying to cash in on the various goals to trigger endgame and with the most points, as you occasionally, possibly, but not required, dabble into various sea combats at the same time. It is a lot of fun. It gives you card crafting, it gives you upgrading, it gives you a lot of really enjoyable things going on in the experience, and to me is also a game that when I didn't back the expansion, I realized I didn't feel I needed the game anymore. You see, they had an expansion on Kickstarter which introduced, you know, I can't remember what it introduced. I remember, like, it introduced the various factions. I covered the game. It introduced various factions, introduced another saga, and I think part of the problem for me is the sagas never did anything for me in the game. The sagas were something that did not enhance the gameplay of Dead Reckoning for me. It kind of goes to that campaign game thing I mentioned already, where if you're a campaign, if you are asking me to commit to an ongoing experience as opposed to a singular one-shot experience, you're also telling me you have to be better for me to do so. And to me, the sagas of Dead Reckoning didn't bother me, but they made the maintenance aspect of the game harder, and the where do we leave off and what's going on harder, while not enhancing the gameplay for me. There was discoverability in the game, which is interesting, because usually discoverability to me does inherently associate itself with an improved experience as I have things to unlock and to showcase and to dive into next time. There's that degree of exploration, but the discovery aspects of the saga expansions didn't really add that much for me. Now, keep in mind, I've only played the sagas maybe 3 or 4 times, so I haven't gone that heavily into them, but I don't know, it just didn't, those 3 or 4 games, if you don't pull me in 3 or 4 games, then I question why am I still doing it. And so Dead Reckoning is a great system. I like it a lot, but it plays in a fairly long time, and the overall experience doesn't change that much game to game. It is a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it, and it's really 100% the kind of game that I do want to continue playing, but find myself less in a rush to pull out. It's another game that I gave a 4 out of 5, another game that I really enjoy, really like, but also don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is a game that I must have in my collection for the next 10 years. But like Resurgence, I enjoy it enough that I don't want to get rid of it. And so here we are, with me not getting rid of it, and instead putting it in a library where I can always take it back later, especially if they put out new content that does compel me, because I have a feeling AEG will continue putting out content for this game. I don't know, I feel the newest expansion, and maybe it's price point too, because it's like $60 if you wanted everything, and I just didn't care for the sagas. And so the question I had to ask was, do I care enough about those competing tracks to dive into it? And the answer for me was no. I think I like the base game more. The expansions didn't add enough for me to go ahead and jump into them. And yeah, I like Dead Reckoning. I think I'll continue to play Dead Reckoning. It's a game I'm sure I'll be tabling more as time goes on in some way, but I also don't feel the need to own it here. To me, it's like a once-a-year kind of experience, and that's good for conventions. The last game over here that falls into the whole inspired me to this video kind of conversation is Now or Never. Now or Never, Dead Reckoning, and Resurgence. Those were the 3 main ones that I had a really hard time with, and the rest of them I kind of filled out from there. Now or Never is from Ryan Lockett from Red Raven Games, and it's excellent. It also runs a bit long. That's the biggest issue I have with this one. It runs a bit longer than the experience I get out of it. And there is a way to shorten that, and I've tried that as well, but it takes a little bit away from the experience, and so it falls into a game, into experience, which honestly is a very similar place where Wonderland's War behind me might fall into. You may see Wonderland's War in a video like this, although I'm not ready to take that plunge yet. In fact, there were a few games that I was not ready. You know what, we'll talk about that. Let me finish this and I'll tell you the few games that I looked at and debated, but was not ready to move away from them yet. But Now or Never falls into the same experience as Wonderland's War, where I really like the game, but I question whether my love of the game is equal to the length it takes to play it. And you need that ratio. A 20-minute game doesn't have to be as good as a 30-minute game. It doesn't have to be as good as an hour-long experience, which doesn't have to be as good as a campaign-based experience. The more a game asks you to give, the better it has to be, because it's asking you to commit more of your time, effort, and energy, and just attention span in general. And Now or Never is very good. It's very good. This is another 4 out of 5 I gave. I think, again, Dead Reckoning 4 out of 5, Battle for Rokugan 4 out of 5, this is a 4 out of 5. These are mostly, there's no 4.5 out of 5s on the table here, but there's a lot of 4 out of 5s and then 2 3.5s. But Now or Never is excellent. It's great. I enjoy it. I recommend it, and it runs a bit longer than the experience I get out of it, such that, again, you know, I think maybe 5-6 plays deep into this one. Not a ton, but 5-6 plays is like 15 hours of gameplay into it, and I really enjoy what's going on in this experience, and also it feels a drop longer than what I need out of it. It's another one that I don't want to give up quite yet, but I also don't think I'm tabling quite as much either, hence its inclusion on this list. Now the next one we have over here, the next one being added is one that technically I already covered in a video, but we'll talk about it. Let's see if I can get this in here. This is going to be Claustrophobia 1643. Now this is one that I already put into a Games Leaving the Collection video, and I'm moving it over here because so many people were like, this is a great game, you should try it. So many people were telling me how good of an experience it is and how much they enjoy it, that I was like, I want this in the Level Up Retreat library. Because you know the good news of putting in the Level Up Retreat library? I'm going to tell you that if you're going to the Level Up Retreat, if you are going there, please, and if you know this game, please call me over and let's play. I want to table this experience. I want to play this game. I've heard so many good things about it. It's well rated. It got a reprint. It's loved by many. It's a game system that I don't think I saw anyone saying anything negative about it. There was either I haven't played it yet, or this game is really good and you should keep it and play it, and so I'm repurposing it to this video. This is a 2-player asymmetric dungeon crawler. That's what the experience is, and it's interesting. I want to play it. I want to table it. So give me a shout. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation about tabling this at some point in some way, but to do that, it has to go in a library. Now the last two over here, I can't even reach them at this point. I cannot reach these games. Let's move this over here. Let's grab these. The last two over here are, well, let's talk about it. First of all, we have Sniper Elite, the entire all-in, everything in shrink over here. And you're like, Alex, didn't you review this game? How's it in shrink? Through the magic of multiple copies. This is a game where I backed the game, and the publisher also sent me a copy to cover. And so I covered the game, I reviewed the game, I never actually got around to unboxing my own one. I did a giveaway with the other one, if I recall correctly. I gave away the other one. And then this one is a really good experience that I really enjoy, another 4 out of 5, but I like Beast and Mind Management more than it. That's the main critique I have against it. Not that there's any critique. I've enjoyed my experiences of Sniper Elite, and I will happily play this any single time. In fact, you know everything I just said about Claustrophobia 1643? If someone comes up to me at the same time and says, I want to play Sniper Elite with you, I'm probably choosing that, because I'll always choose... That's not true. I was going to say I'll always choose something I know of something I don't, but that's not true inherently. But I like Sniper Elite a lot. It's a lot of fun. The only complaint I have against it is the fact that I can't have that many, hidden movement games in my collection. They're just not going to get played. And as it is, I think Mind Management and Beast fill out those slots nicely for me. Sniper Elite, I had minor complaints against that. And it's not even complaints. It's more really that I just enjoy the other systems more. So it's a great game. I really enjoy it. And this, to me, was an easy fit of throwing into the library because, again, a game I'd like to own, a game I'd like to play. I don't know how often, I don't know when, but maybe one day I pull it back out. Who knows? Maybe I play Beast 17 more times and I'm like, I'm done with Beast, I want to get Sniper Elite back. And I'm fine with that conversation because this was an excellent game. It has the upgrade kit, it has the expansion, it has all of it together, and it's one that I'm happy to throw into the library because I know that way I have a chance of playing it, and if not me, somebody else has a chance of playing it, and it's a good game worth looking into. From Belly Unplugged, an excellent experience. Which brings me to this last one over here, which is Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory. This is another very tricky one to really cover or talk about, because this to me is another 4 out of 5 experience, but one that, even at the time, like I didn't back this. This they sent me for covering it. I covered the game, so they sent me a copy, a pledge. I said at the time I didn't back it, and the reason I didn't back it was because, as much as I like it, I think I said in the video it's a convention game, that I said Hegemony gives you an excellent asymmetric game with 4 different sides, 4 different factions, and it's a game I'm always happy to play but never want to teach. Because to teach this game, you have to teach 4 different ways of playing, and all of them have a large degree of depth to the experience. To me, Hegemony fits into the same area as Root, but almost worse. It's more economic, it's longer to play, there's just a burden on this game to actually table it, and I think it's excellent, and I think it's worth playing. But I think it's the kind of experience that you have to have people who know what's up and know what's going on, and are willing to dive into and invest their time, effort, and energy into what is an excellent experience, but one, I think in general, if you watch reviews in this game, I think they're coming out mostly very positive. It is a good game. It just asks you to give it a lot of time, effort, and attention, rules, teach, and all that stuff. And for me, that's just not going to happen in a game system where I have too many games that I need to teach and play all the time. I just don't want to teach this one. I'd rather teach Root. To me, I'm choosing Root over Hegemony. But that does mean that it's an excellent contribution to put into the game library because of the fact that that means it is a game that you don't necessarily need to own, but can dive into, can try it. A great kind of game to have at a convention with people who know how to play it, unless you have a regular game group who is playing it instead. And with that, these are the games we have on the table, the 13 or so games that are currently going into the Level Up Retreat. There's going to be more of these videos over time, I assume, as I go through it. In general, I'm trying to be a bit more critical of what games leave my collection right now, because with many of these, I don't have to actually get rid of them. And I mentioned that at the beginning, I mentioned a few minutes ago, I was going to talk about some of the games that kind of survived. Wonderland's War is a game that might be in a video like this. I love the game. I think it runs a little long, but I like it enough I don't want to get rid of it. Endeavor Deep Sea is a game that may end up in the collection in the Level Up Retreat library, especially because of Endeavor Age of Sail, although I don't think, never mind, I take it back, maybe next year. I want Endeavor Age of Sail to arrive first, to compare the final versions of the game rather than prototype to production and see how that one goes. Another one I was looking at was Feed the Kraken. I think Feed the Kraken is so hard to table for me in my current life situation, versus playing at a convention is just easier. And I might bring it to the library, but I'm not prepared to give it, I might bring it to the convention, but I'm not prepared to actually give it into the convention, at least not yet. I looked at it, I thought about it, and I was like, no, there's going to be that one time where I have the right group of 6 people, and I like Feed the Kraken. I think it is an easy to play, easy to teach, an excellent experience. I might reach out to the publisher to try to get a copy for the library instead, we'll see, because I just think it's really, I think it's an excellent experience if you can get it to the library, but I'm still selfishly not ready to give it up yet. There are a few others I'll have to look around, because there's 2 kinds of games. There's games that I look around my shelf and I'm like, I think that'd be good for the library, and that's great. But then there's games where I think I should get rid of it and I can use it as a justification, and in some cases I'm able to convince myself, and in other cases I want the game too much and I want to hold on to it too much. After the Empire, that's another great one. I looked at After the Empire and I was like, do I get rid of this one? Do I give it into the library? I don't want to. I want to play it. I want it in my collection. I know there's an expansion coming and I like the game, so even though it's not getting tabled a lot, when it does get tabled, it's just a great game. There's always a balance of what you're willing to keep, what you're willing to get rid of, what actually sees the table, what is a mental commitment versus what is an enjoyable experience that you can't wait to dive into. And finding that balance for yourself, for your own collection, well, for me, it's part of the fun of the hobby. But with that said, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I'll have information about the Level Up Retreat down below. Would love to see you there in Connecticut, July 14th to 16th. And as always, I hope you have a good one.